Welcome to Education in Focus. I'm your host, Eliana Kernodle. New poll results show that the majority of likely voters say artificial intelligence shouldn't be in schools because it makes it too easy to cheat. Joining me to discuss this is Chalkboard News editor Brendan Clary. Brendan, what did this poll ask and what were the results?
Yeah, so the Voters' Voice poll, which is conducted by Noble Predictive Insights for the Center Square, which is a sister site of Chalkboard News, we're both owned by the Franklin News Foundation, it found that over 2/3 of likely voters say that AI should stay out of schools. So the poll of nearly 2,300 likely voters, it found that 68% agreed with the statement AI should be kept out of schools because it makes cheating too easy. And only 22% were in favor of keeping AI in schools, with the rest saying they're not sure, right? So I think you have just like a very small amount of people who are like, I don't know, like I'm kind of on the fence here. But a lot of people, I mean, over 2/3 are saying like absolutely not, right? And so that was a big like kind of top line, like here's where people are on the issue, right? Is that 2/3 are staunchly against it.
And what did Chief of Research for Noble Predictive Insights, David Byler, have to say about this data, like how it's changed over time?
Yeah, so that's a great question. David said, public attitudes have changed over time, basically as kind of the dangers of AI have come to light. And he referenced, with the polling that they did, that 69% of respondents with children under 18 said that they thought that AI shouldn't be in schools. He's like, parents are aware of the risks that AI poses for students, right? That, this could maybe threaten some of the academic rigor, and that they want their kids to be able to get out into the world and that they can go out and create something of value in the workforce, right? And that if you're doing everything through AI, maybe you're not able to do that successfully. Maybe you're not able to relate to people or like create some of these kinds of different sorts of deliverables that you would need to do that professionally, right? So, he said that that's kind of a question. He said that mirrors sort of the broader shift in AI. Basically, that the public opinion is sort of catching up to the technology. So we've kind of seen, this is what David Byler said, that, when AI came out, it was like very big. I think we all remember like the hype, like OpenAI is out there, and then people are talking about AI constantly. They're thinking like, okay, this is going to revolutionize the world. And people were talking about it like, here's the internet, and then also AI, and AI is probably bigger than the internet. And then, we've seen it take off, and like people are like, the possibilities are endless. Like this is going to be running the world. Like you should be worried about your jobs. And I've even had people, they find out that I write for Chalkboard News, and they're like, okay, are you worried about your job? Like AI is gunning for you. And, but then David Byler kind of pointed out, like, you saw things kind of happen, right, with this, like bad things. And he referenced, some professors like seeing students write essays that are suddenly a lot longer than they were used to writing. And they have like, very elegant prose or, flowery language. And and I've seen news reports, right, of like a lawyer, for example, who like wrote a court document through ChatGPT. Like he had that written. And then the judge was like, what is this court case? And it was made up by AI. Like it sounded like something that had happened, but nowhere on like the record, like nowhere on the document list, because it was invented whole cloth by ChatGPT. It was like, this sounds like a good, name for like a case back in the day. And I think that, he'd even like looked it up on ChatGPT, and ChatGPT was like, yeah, this is a real case, but it wasn't, so it's one of those things of like, you got him in trouble. I think he was disbarred, right? If I'm remembering that correctly. So we've heard like some of these like higher level things of people losing their jobs. Have you had anything like that, Eliana?
Yeah, I experimented with ChatGPT, even just with some friends, because it's interesting to see like what it can do. But like you're saying, it does just make things up. We're asking it questions about the book Pride and Prejudice to see what it would say. And it was actually pulling quotes from the book, but it was attributing it to completely wrong people. So it was taking things that Miss Bingley said and saying that Elizabeth Bennet said it. And if you've read the book, those are two completely different characters. So that's similar sort of thing, much more low stakes, no losing jobs or anything like that. But that is definitely one of the interesting things about it, is people are starting to realize that, at least right now, you can't really rely on AI to give you the most accurate information. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, and you might not be able to tell the difference.
Right. Well, and that is called hallucinations for these like ChatGPT, like these generative AI programs. That is the definition of like what is hallucinations, right? Where it says it's real and it thinks it's real because that's what it's got. It's like a program based on what is already out there. Like it can't fact check itself because this is what it's aware of. And so that's an interesting thing that maybe people aren't necessarily aware of. If they go to ChatGPT, they're looking for this information. It gives them something, but it might not be right. And they might not know that it's not right until, a teacher is like, hey, this was not done correctly. You didn't get any of this right. Like these are not even attributed to the right things. Like this was just making stuff up. And so, is it helpful for some things? Absolutely. But can it be harmful in some of these ways that you're not even aware of? Yeah, maybe. So there's some of these risks here, and I think people are kind of aware of that now. And the polling, according to David Byler, by and large on AI, kind of shows that people are more wary of that. And then we've kind of reached what he called equilibrium, right? Where like public view of AI is sort of matching, like, oh, maybe there are these downsides that we should be aware of and maybe cautious of.
Yeah, it sort of reminds me of growing up without AI. It was always Wikipedia that got the heat.
Right. Is it the new Wikipedia? Yeah.
Maybe. And people were always saying, like, you can't trust Wikipedia. It might be helpful, but it also might just be nonsense. And I feel like the thing with Wikipedia is nowadays a lot of people have gotten to know the limits of Wikipedia, but also the ways that you can use Wikipedia to your benefit. Like, okay, maybe you use it as a starting place. You track down its footnotes, see what's legitimate. But we don't necessarily have that level of experience with AI to know, like, how do we use this well in a way that's, can benefit us, but mitigate the problems.
Right. And I think that that's a great point, like in education, how do you teach students how to use AI? Because, you have to think that there's probably contexts in which they'll need to know how to use these kinds of generative platforms, or like how to harness the power of AI without taking away those essential skills that they need to flourish in the workforce, like thinking for themselves and being able to write eloquently, like not flowery sentences because you put it into the ChatGPT, prompt, right? So it's one of those questions, like how do you find that balance there?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, and really only time will tell. Thank you for your insights on this story, Brendan. Listeners can keep up with this story and more at chalkboardnews.com.